on to public comment. Mr. Michelle's welcome back here on the floor for a couple of minutes.
For those of the audience who don't know me, I'm Chris Michelle. I'm retired from Los Alamos, and I've been engaging in police matters for about 4 years. The quick aside before I get to my main topic was what you just discussed here. What I noticed was there was no mention of this being, I'm basically in favor of openness of information, but I heard no mention of anybody engaging the public as to whether they actually would prefer this information over some other information, or the formatting, what would be useful to the public. I heard no mention of that. This seems to be an initiative coming from the chief and from the director. Did the public ask for any of this? Where does this fit? Where does the public get involved in developing this direction? The things that I think you should have open on your website, and you do not, is that if you have any EPA requests, and I know you consider these burdensome, that when the requests are filled, they should be posted on your website so other people would have to request them. That would limit your workload a lot. Things that I have requested, which ought to be posted on the website and are not, are class schedules. So we can actually see what the content of the class schedule is as opposed to the curriculum. That would be very useful for the public to know, but it's not available to them. I have it because I e-print it, but it's not on the public site. The public can't see it. Lesson plans. For 3 years, you were bound to put lesson plans on the website. You never did. Now you've decided you shouldn't. The public never agreed to any of this. As far as we're concerned, you spent 3 years not providing something you were legally bound to provide. And as someone who engages in the police matters, I think the lesson plans should be on the website. It's one of the most useful things you can provide to the public as far as your training. And let's not forget, you are basically not a disciplinary organization. Your function is a training organization. Let the public see the information on your training. We can't see it. You're hiding it from us. So you're offering something that's a subsidiary function of your board, which is the disciplinary side, and you're concealing from us what you're doing in training. This is not really very helpful. Please consider that. Be open on your main mission, which is training. Now, as far as I mentioned that we've been engaging, my colleague Chris Goode and I have been engaging this board for 4 years. What brought us to the board was the shooting of Jeanette Anaya in Santa Fe in November 2013. That's about 4 years ago. That's what brought us to this board. We were looking for the board to show some interest in that problem. That shooting involved a questionable pursuit policy, a questionable action on the part of the officer, and a questionable use of force. Not only was that Anaya case should have been looked at, I would say, for lessons learned. What did we do wrong that led to that tragic death? I've seen no mention of that. You don't have any lessons learned. You don't look into the root cause of any of these problems. So it's Anaya, and there was Kenneth Ellis, which resulted in a legal change through the legislature, which resulted in a curriculum change. There was the Torres case. There was the Boyd case. I asked you to discuss the Boyd 2 sessions ago when I wasn't able to attend in Silver City. You didn't discuss it. I put it on your agenda, but it wasn't discussed. There were a lot of, Boyd was tragic. It ought not have happened. It was totally messed up. They paid $5 million for that mess up. And the fact that they weren't successfly tried is not a surprise. They had trouble trying police. So you have Anaya, Ellis, Torres, Boyd. I've seen no signs that this board has addressed any of those problems. All of them involved a questionable use of force. Some of them involved questionable pursuit policies. Why doesn't this board take up those issues? Not only were these people tragically killed for no good reason, it was like $21 million were paid out in settlements. The other thing that's just an ongoing issue here is New Mexico, once again, today, leads the country in police killings per capita. There was a survey last year that said we led the country to the bottom as having the worst public safety in the nation. Now, why looking at those cases, there's 19 cases which are available online, the Washington Post says that over half of those cases are a result of bad use of force policies, bad pursuit policies, bad treatment of mentally defective and drug-related incidents. None of those, at least half of those deaths are not necessary, and yet this board never discusses them. Why don't you discuss them? When will you discuss them? You're killing a lot of people for no good reason outside of the fact that you won't take up the problems that you have in training and policy in the state.
Mr. Michels, you've exceeded your time. I'd ask you to wrap it up.
I just did. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Michels. As always, I welcome your comments. As the chair of the board and in my own independent manner, I would respectfully disagree with you as the Attorney General of New Mexico that anyone on this board has killed anybody or assisted in the killing of lives in New Mexico. So, but I do welcome your input. As always, I want to continue to work with you. And we'll note to the public and to you that we've also placed you on the agenda for an additional formal matter at a later time during this meeting.